All right, this is beginner workout one. We're gonna start with the dowel rod. This is your 4-foot dowel rod that you guys got in your packs. You can get these at Home Depot or Lowe's. Key points with the dowel rod, we wanna start to work on getting the thumbs nice and flat on the stick. We're gonna start this right off the beginning. And what we're gonna do with the dowel rod, let it hang right to our belly. Try to press the tips of the thumbs down into the stick. You sure you feel a nice wrist stretch. This is gonna take you some time to work out through the elbows, up into the shoulders. You're gonna gently work on tucking the elbow in nice and easy, pulling the elbow to the side, on the left side, and then over on the right side. When we say the terms dig in, we wanna dig the elbows in, which is gonna help us to pinch the middle of the back. We can work on a little chin tuck, and we're gonna start to practice holding this dowel rod right at our waist with our elbows dug in nice and easy. We can begin to add a little shift over to the left side and a little shift over to the right side. We want to feel this stretch down in your fingers and down in your thumbs. This is going to be very challenging for many of you. If you do need to take the thumbs off, we're going to just grip right at the edges of the stick. And again, try to dig the elbows down in and start to develop this movement through the elbows and through the shoulders. Adding in a little press directly laterally to the left and then over to the right. If you tilt your head, you'll feel how you stretch your neck out as you drive your elbow down and in and gently straighten the elbow. This is one of the first major exercises that we want to learn how to develop and move through so that we can start to stretch the neck out down into the bicep, down into the forearm. As you feel comfortable, you can place your hands back on the stick, your thumbs back on the dowel rod. And again, just work into a nice little lateral push. We're going to take a little wider stance with the feet directly under the hips. And we're going to start to work into our first major movement that we want to learn how to develop is a nice rotation with the dowel rod and a little head shift over to the right foot and over to the left foot. This is going to be one of the staple exercises that we learn how to perform so that we can get the spine to really start to loosen up. And you can start very slow with a nice easy rotation. You can pick an image out on the wall or just watch through this video as we rotate left and rotate right. Again, thumbs can maintain pressure on the stick, but if the thumbs are a little too tight, you can take the thumbs off and just start to transfer the head over to the left foot and over to the right foot. Try to keep the feet nice and straight forward and work right through a little bend into it, reaching the stick as far back as you can over to the right and over to the left. On the feet, we want to maintain that foot pressure on the outside of the foot. This is also an instance where we can put the chucks or the slant boards standing with your feet nice and straight on the slant boards. This allows you to keep your ankle bone nice and high on the inside of the foot, and this is what's going to help the knees to start to develop the little bow set, the little outward pressure on the outside of the foot that will help to loosen up the hips, the low back, and the ankles. We're going to rotate left and rotate right. Step 2, gently raise the stick up or the dowel rod up overhead and try to keep your head forward and rotate the arms nice and gently around the head. Now, for many of you, this move will be pretty difficult. You can spend 3 or 4 or 5 minutes on each of these movements to develop the connective tissue and the muscle strength through the spine and through the shoulders to improve the range of motion through the body. As you feel comfortable, pick up the pace a little bit and change your hand position. Drop your front hand down, back hand up, or the opposite, try to get the back hand a little lower and the front hand a little higher. We're going to flow right down into a side-to-side, keeping the head kind of pinpointed on something forward and swaying the hips from side to side. The chest is going to move with the dowel rod over to the left and over to the right. After we finish up with the side to sides, we're going to move into our hip hinge. This is going to be the second half of the first warm-up workout. Bend down into your hips. Keep your feet nice and straight on the slant boards. You can pull your knees open or close your knees through. And if you see my hands here, I still am maintaining my thumb onto the stick. This is the most challenging, so if the thumbs are too stiff, just bend the thumbs around the stick until we practice some of the first movements that we talked about earlier. In the hip hinge, we want to just start to bounce, keeping the knees with a soft bend and trying to really arch the spine backwards. So when we perfect our hip hinge, it's going to be a shift back with the hips and gently drop the chest forward. We don't have a lot of weight back on the heels with the toes up. We do want to slide the body forward so that the heels can pick up a little bit. We're going to gently work on straightening the knees and bouncing right down into the hips. If you can only get a little closer, because down too deep is too difficult, don't worry. Just try to not round at the lower back. We don't want to round. So we want to shift the hips back, keep the chest up, gently pull the stick down into your back. Get back up onto your boards, and then we're going to add a little shift over to the right leg, and then over to the left leg. And we can bounce nice and smoothly through the right foot, over to the left foot, gently pulling this left knee in, and then back over to the right side with the right knee in. Back to center. We're going to stand up. Drop the left elbow down. This is how we start to coil the core, or drop the right elbow down to the right thigh or glute, and then left elbow down to left thigh or glute. Over to the right, over to the left. And you can take up to 30 seconds in each of these positions and work on a little rebounding side to side. After you finish up with a few, you can drop back down into your hinge. Keeping weight on the outside of the feet, you can start to shift over to the left leg, back over to the right leg. Gently straighten each knee out so you can get a nice deep hamstring stretch as you dynamically move through the movements. If you can press your thumbs into the stick, again, that's going to be the most difficult. Back up to center, down on the left, down on the right. As you coil through the movements, we want to start to work on tilting the head to keep the eyes level with the horizon. Over to the right and over to the left. And again, you can spend all 10 minutes just hitting one or two of these exercises and really feel the stretch through the sides and down through the legs. Back to center. We can finish with some rotations in the mid stance with the dowel rod up to our chest, or work into an overhead movement nice and easy. Keeping the eyes focused as we rotate through the shoulders, the spine, and the hips. Back down in front. Checking your feet, making sure your feet are maintaining pretty straight position on the boards. Gently shifting, shifting. Let the chest follow through. If it feels good and pretty tight for you, you can hold up a side and hold up to the other side. Many of us have a lot of muscle imbalance from one direction to the next direction, and that's what starts to torsion the spine and the hips and the knees and create pain. Exercise 2 is going to be your narrow stance bow set squats. You can use the slant boards. Ultimately, we're going to use the chucks, or you can use the bow suit, which is going to be pretty challenging. I'd recommend starting with the slant boards, keeping the feet nice and narrow and straightforward aligned with the lines. You're going to do this against a wall or a pole or a workout rig in your house. You just need something to hold on to. And we're going to begin by developing nice ankle strength and foot strength. To begin, keep the weight on the front of the feet, gently pull the knees open, and just work on some heel raises. Down low, up high. Roll the feet out to the outside of the feet, and gently come back into the big toes and start to feel the bottom of your feet. Everybody has tight muscles, plantar fascia muscles, intrinsic foot muscles. Some people have a lot of tendonitis down in their toes. So we're going to start by just rolling around on the front of the feet, keeping the heels up and the knees pulled gently open. We want to maintain nice upward back chain dominance out of the chest. We're going to pay attention to what our feet look like and where the foot pressure is down through each of the feet. We want to weight each leg evenly and make sure that we're not, leaning over to one side too much. So try to keep the hips nice and centered. And start to work on just raising the heels up. Now we do a lot of repetitions of this. You're going to start to work on your ankles every single day in the different movements that we're going to go through. And then we're going to start to squat down a little lower into a mid-stance squat. You can hold on to the pole. You can keep the heels disengaged, and when we disengage the heels, we keep them sunk down low to the boards. But again, we still maintain that forward movement into the front of the pole. We're going to gently lower ourselves down, adding in these little up and down movements. You can sink your weight back as you hold on, or we can push forward, letting the shoulders roll open. Gently sink a little lower as you feel comfortable, and at any time you get too fatigued, just stand up nice and tall and lean into the pole to develop that nice back strength through the arms and up through the shoulders. You can transition back into your calf raises, gently twisting the knees open and sitting down into your squat. And this is where everybody needs some strength. These slant boards help to activate the deep core, the leg muscles, some of the lower abdominal muscles. As we maintain back chain dominance, we're going to start to get the spine to kind of mold itself or loosen itself up and get nice and open. As we feel comfortable, we can drop down a little lower, either disengaging the heels, dropping them down, or engaging the heels and gently raising them up. It is going to take you a lot of time to develop some strength down in the feet, but the feet will help to improve the health of the hips, the knees, and up into the spine. Again, slide forward into the front of the pole or backward behind it. We work on pressing the front of the feet down and lifting the hips back so we can maintain that nice chest up position. You may not be able to get down here in the first 2 or 3 months, so you might have to just maintain some of the upward movements. But gradually, as you develop strength in your knees and your ankles, try to sink a little lower down into the movement. We can stop bouncing for a few and work on the toes again. If 2 is too difficult, we can work on 1 foot, raising up, rolling out to the little toes and over to the big toe before we switch to the opposite side. Reset the feet, drop back down into your squats with disengaged heels. or engage the heels up. Pulling the knees open. You might get some clicks and pops out of your body. That's a good thing that your body is moving. Your tendons will loosen up. Circulation will improve down through your entire body. If you can get down, and as you work on this, you'll be able to get down into a full squat. And we're gonna lean gently forward into the pole or the rig or a wall, keeping the heels up and starting to really bounce through the front of the feet. Come back to center, pull the knees in a little bit. And maintain that nice bounce right through each of the positions. As you need to take a break, we can come back and begin to work on the calves again. Rolling the feet out to in. Feeling any imbalance down in the little bones of our feet. If you need to drop to just a single foot, stand up as tall as you can, gently push into the pole, and roll the feet out. The next step to integrate into your narrow stance bow set squats is going to be to start to rotate over to the left side, gently twisting the left knee open, keeping this foot straight, however, and then rotating over to the right side. You may be only able to get a little movement first out of the hip and the knee without bending down into it. This is tough on the connective tissue down into the knee. So we want to start high and start to rotate through that straight foot. Move back into some squat bounces. Knees open nice and wide. You can go short and narrow with the bounces, or we can get a little deeper into it. Come halfway out of it. Work on some hips back. Back up into the heels up now, or the engaged heel we call it. Gently pulling the knees open. Adding a little twist over to the left. A little twist over to the right. Over to the left. Over to the right. Back to center. Once your body starts to shake, that's when you reach central nervous system fatigue. You may even just start to shake on some of the basic movements, the rotations, even the heel raises. If you start to feel your body shake, that's an indication that you're hitting a weak area that we need to strengthen nicely. Forward into the pole, heels up, knees open. Stand up if you need a break. At any point throughout this video, you can pause. You can step off the slant boards. You can do some nice easy leg raises as the muscles start to fatigue and burn. You are going to build a massive amount of stamina down into your legs doing these exercises. But press, repeat, and start working on your feet and your foot strength. .3 is going to be the split stance lunge cornering for about 5 minutes per leg. And for this, we're going to put a slant board next to a wall or a pole or a workout rig, whatever you have at home. We're going to line the slant board straight with the foot, and we're going to go through the basic portions of this first. The foot is straight, the back foot is toed in a little bit, and we're going to twist the left knee open so that the chest faces the left knee, okay? Now in the back leg, we want the hips to rotate over to the left. We're gonna try to really work on letting this knee fall open, but the foot maintaining that straight position. To begin this, we may start just twisting the hips, the chest, into this left foot, left knee. You're gonna feel this big time in the back of your left hamstring and left glute, okay? And what we're working on here is just a nice little pivot, a nice little twist out of the whole body over the left leg. We can either work the rotation, adding a little coil down into this left elbow. This is opening up the chest on the right side. Again, you can hold on to a pole or a rig or a wall even. We're gonna twist over to the left. We want the head to kind of sit over this left leg right here. We'll look forward. We can bounce up to down gently, or we can twist over to the left. Twist. Now, knees, gonna take a long time, a couple months to develop the strength, especially down in the calf and up in the glute. So that's why you might start just for the first month, just working 5 minutes of this rotation through the hip, letting the back knee point in and letting the chest rotate over this left leg. You can slide forward with it and bounce on this left leg or backward. As you feel comfortable, drop down into it, add in some up to down bounces as you twist over this left leg, getting the chest to sink forward and getting this left load, this left leg loaded with the weight and twisting over this left side. Left elbow can come back up and in. We can rep out some rotations here. Keeping this foot straight, either disengaging the heel, keeping the heel softly on the ground, but we don't want pressure through the heel, or raising the heel up. Gently sinking down, feeling this nice torsion through this left leg. You can come a little step closer, or again, we can stand up, take a nice little rest, drop into it. Twisting the hips over this left leg, left knee is opening up. We keep the chest up a little bit, we keep the back chain nice and engaged. Big time workout for the back of this left thigh. If you need to take a break, don't shy away or don't worry about stepping off, taking a few steps. walk around, feel how that leg feels after you kind of crank it open a little bit. Try to play around with the chest forward or a little backward. Maintain that twist into that left leg. Pick a foot up, the back foot. Now you will have to take this easy again for the knee. If the foot stays straight, you're going to develop this nice movement through this left leg. At the end of the 5 minutes, we're going to switch over to the opposite side. Foot straight on the board. Back toes are in a little bit. And we can just start to work on the twist of the hips into the right leg. Bending the chest forward, getting a nice little stretch and weight in the back of the leg. Start to bounce up and down gently. Maintain the twist over to the right side. Bounce through the leg or the foot, or we can bounce down through the whole body, up and down. And the main goal here is to start to get this ankle, as you see, rotating. And as we get the hip to loosen up, the back chain muscles to activate, this hip will nicely spin open and the ankle will gently spin straight behind us. You can change into that front drop in with the knee open and the chest open. Lift the hips back a little bit. Drop into it a little bit or rotate around that right leg. Again, we pick that foot up on the other side. Let's work a few of those. Try to maintain pressure up off the heel softly. If you find a little weak spot, like my weak spot would be a nice straight knee and a little hip hinge into it. Just kind of work through this movement in the back of the leg. And then again, we can work on that right shoulder back. Gently drop down into it. Push that hip back. Pack the hip, get the chest forward. You can move this assistance leg up a little bit. Again, work the upper body twist. Bounce the upper body up and down. Try to maintain the knee open and the chest open over to the right side. Gently bounce over the foot. Take a break when you need to, because this is tough stuff. You can stand up over that right leg, bouncing up and down, maintain that nice little twist over to the right. Or slowly lunge down into it. Got another minute to go. Anytime you need a little break, you can stand up. If you need to take the foot off of the slam board, go ahead and you can walk around a little bit. These muscles are going to burn pretty significantly. Gently work on raising the heel up. Up tall, down into it, right elbow back. And again, if you can only make it a few little inches, because that's where I started off, just work this movement for 10 minutes, or 5 minutes per side. All right, last part of this workout is a wall plank. You're gonna put your slant boards close to a wall. We're gonna keep our feet straight in the slant boards, wide fingers on the wall, and we're gonna play around with the hand position. But what we're mainly gonna work on is either disengaging the heels, twisting the knees open, or gently raising the heels up, keeping a nice backward pressure with the head, and starting to kind of sink in to the arms or press away from the arms. So forward movement in, backward movement out. Be mindful of where your foot pressure is at, what your knees feel like, and again, you can practice raising the heels up or dropping the heels down nice and low. We're also going to be mindful of where our finger pressure is at. So, trying to be mindful that the hands are nice and wide, and the fingers, we always want to match the 5 fingers so that they're about equidistant apart, and we don't want to see one hand curled and one hand not. So for many people, we're just going to start working on opening the fingers up, sinking through, twisting the knees open, or pressing away. And this is our wall plank. We've got a couple areas that we work on. The shoulders, we can cut over to the left, or cut over to the right, cut over to the left, tuck the left elbow in, over to the right. We can work on the lower extremity, twisting into the left side gently, or twisting into the right side gently. Again, being mindful of what the hands feel like. Trying to keep the hands nice and wide. Every 30 seconds or minute, if you need to change your wrist position, we can go higher, we can go lower. We can spend all 5 or 10 minutes in one position. We're going to start to work on, again, just letting the heels sag low, twisting the hips to the left, and then gently over to the right. Gently rolling up on the green dots. Picking the head up nice and wide, nice and high, and opening the fingers nice and wide. The key points: twist to the left, left heel twists in, left knee opens, left elbow in. Lean into that side. And then over on the right side, right foot straight, right knee open. Twist the hips to the right, drop the right elbow down and in. Back to center, straighten the knees out. Gently roll around on the green dots of the feet. Again, reset the fingers nice and wide. Sinking down into it. Head is up. Begin to learn how to rotate through those stiff arms. Really pull those knees open, roll to the outside of the feet. You can add in some bounces through the heels. Press deep down into the shoulder blades. Change the hand position, go up higher. Sink down into the wall, pulling the shoulder blades down. Shift left, shift right. All right, so there's your wall plank. Spend some time on each of the feet, the arms, the elbows. We're trying to really get the arms, the shoulders, and the hips and the legs strong through the spine. That's your first workout. We'll see you guys for beginner workout 2.